Today is Monday, March 16 na po. Ito, si Nico Fabian. Nandito na naman po sa programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. And welcome na welcome kayong lahat po, mga Filipinos dito sa Malaysia, be it sa West Malaysia o dito po sa Sabah, East Malaysia, sa Kota Kinabalu, very specific, ang mga kababayan, kaibigan din natin, mga neighbors natin po, dito sa East Malaysia, ang state of Sarawak. Hope everything is running smoothly sa mga buhay natin ngayon po. And of course, we're starting another brand new working week. No? Working week po. Monday na Monday ngayon. And of course, greetings also goes to sa mga OFWs po, especially yon mga overseas Filipino workers dyan po sa Middle East, no? Ingat kayo, no? Ingat talaga kayo po because mahirap na po, no? Tuloy pa rin ang gera dyan po sa Middle East, ang Israel saka ang Amerika against Iran, at saka ang Iran continues to fire ang mga missiles nila. Ang dami tayong mga relatives dyan po sa Middle East, sa affected areas. So, ako mismo po, mayroon tayong mga relatives, mga anak natin dyan po. And ako mismo po, worried na worried. And I'm praying na ang mga loved ones natin dyan po sa Middle East, affected areas po, they will always be safe. Ingat lang po, if there is really a need for you to evacuate, nandyan naman ang gobyerno natin sending assistance to the overseas Filipino workers, and they can enlist their names dyan po sa deportation or repatriation po ng mga overseas Filipino workers so that you will be back to the Philippines po for safety purposes. And those who still want to be there, na ingat lang kayo po. As well as mga Filipinos natin, mayroon tayo something like 7,000 Filipinos dyan sa Israel, as well as quite a number of Filipinos also in Iran, no? So sa Israel, kung marinig niyo ang warning na may darating na missiles po, go to the bunkers na po, no? And make sure that you are safe. You will be safe po. So, lahat po, let's all pray na sana lang po this war will already stop po, no? Kasi wala tayong makuha dito sa gera po, no? Ang makuha lang natin dyan is mga innocent lives will be spared, properties will be damaged, and remember, it is very difficult and it will take a time and very costly to rebuild a country po after experiencing a war, especially itong mga ang gera ngayon natin po, hindi kagaya World War I or World War II, no? Ngayon, malayo pa sila, they can send ang missiles nila, and grabe ang damage cost, no? Ang damage cost. Mga Filipinos, we experienced World War II, no? Ang Manila was totally destroyed, no? If you go back to our history, kaya nga, mahirap talaga po. Anyway, today, I'm going to touch a little bit on mga issues dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially steel, yun flood control projects po. No? And I have prepared dito po a video clip regarding ang interview ni Attorney Balikot dyan po sa international media outlet. So alam na po ang mundo, no? What is happening dyan po sa Pilipinas, especially itong very shameful and sabihin natin masakit, no? Expensive experience that we experience po when it comes to scam, no? When it comes to these flood control projects, dahil po trillions of money, taxpayers' money were lost, and it went to irresponsible, greedy politicians po. Yet, until now, we still cannot see people involved are put behind bars, despite many assurances, promises made by the present administration dyan po sa Pilipinas, spearheaded by no other than President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Mayroon mga video tips tayo dyan po, and mayroon naman po, no? Narinig natin kaninang umaga na tungkol dahil itong oil prices is hierarchy. Tumaas na talaga po, no? Ang presyo, which we cannot blame to the Philippine government or leaders, no? But totoo yan po, no? Grabe po ang presyo ng gasolina, ng petrolyo dyan po sa Pilipinas ngayon dahil sa gera dyan sa Iran and America. No? So, mayroon mga assistance coming from the government, but that was good. For me, that was good. Or that is good po, no? But the problem is parang selective lang. May mga criticism po regarding this. And mayroon tayo dito po video clip that I'm going to share with you. And kayo na bahala po to make your own conclusion. And observations ninyo po is up to you po. No? What I'm doing is I will try to share with you whatever I am for you to be able to know what is really happening sa Pilipinas. No? Kasi we left our beloved loved ones po sa Pilipinas, sakripisyo ang mga overseas Filipino workers to go out and work outside the Philippines dahil we want to give a good future sa mga loved ones natin. Ha? Sa mga loved ones natin dyan po sa Pilipinas. Okay, before going any further po, unang-una since next week will be a big celebration po. No? We are going to celebrate itong Hari Raya Idul Fitri. After a 30 days Ramadan puasa, no? Fasting month ng mga brothers and sisters natin who are embracing the Islam faith. So, I think by Saturday, is it Friday or Saturday po, we are going to celebrate, or they are going to celebrate already itong Hari Raya Idul Fitri Mubarak. No? So, mayroon tayong news dito po regarding itong sabihin natin na occasion, and nag-declare po, no less than, ito, this news goes to our brothers and sisters dito sa Malaysia, including mga Malaysians po, and of course, ang mga foreigners kagaya natin, mga Filipinos dito sa Malaysia po. There will be extra public holidays po, nag-announce na kahapon, no less than ang Prime Minister ng Malaysia, si Dato' Sri Ibrahim or Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Yesterday yun po dito sa Kota Kinabalu or dito sa Sabah because he was here sa Sabah o sa Kota Kinabalu po to attend a function, and during the function, he officially announced po ang extra holiday. Sa Pilipinas naman, earlier, ang presidente natin si Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. sa BBM already announced that March 20 will be a public non-working holiday. Dahil po itong sabihin natin Idul Fitri, Hari Raya Idul Fitri celebration. No? Hindi pa natin alam po kung kailan talaga yun po. Will it be sa 19 ba, sa 20 ba, or sa 21? Hindi pa natin alam, but it will definitely be officially known to everybody, especially ang mga celebrants po on or before ang actual date po. So, to start with, let me share with you po ang announcement ni Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim regarding ang Hari Raya holiday po, no? Extra Hari Raya holiday dito po sa Malaysia. Nandito, hold on, let me, saan na yun? 136 yata ito. Yan, dito, nandito po. You hold on, ha? Alright, let's listen to the official announcement made by, no less than the Prime Minister of Malaysia, si Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, yesterday, dito po sa Kota Kinabalu. Dito po.
Hari Raya, hari Jumaat, atau hari Sabtu. Mau saya jawab sekarang? Tak boleh. Ini kena lihat dulu mula dekat umum. Hari Jumaat malam sama ada hari Jumaat atau hari Sabtu. Tapi bagaimanapun Jumaat atau Sabtu, jangan bimbang. Kerana kita berikan cuti tambahan hari raya. Kita beri cuti kerana kita anggap semua orang dah kerja kuat. bulan Ramadan ni semua extra time, extra dedication, extra effort. So we will reward you dengan tambahan cuti. Kalau yang tak extra effort, you still have a few days, please do a bit more to deserve the holidays. Jadi kalau cuti, kalau hari raya, hari Jumaat, 20 Mac, maka cuti tambahan pada Isnin, 23 Mac. Kalau cuti hari Sabtu, kalau hari raya Sabtu 21 Mac, cuti tambahan hari Jumaat 20 Mac.
Alright, yun po, narinig natin ang official announcement ni Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim po regarding itong holiday, no? Regarding itong holiday. So, naano siya yun po, ang announcement niya po in Malay, no? But anyway, nandito po, those who did not understand ang announcement ni Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, nandito po. Ang Prime Minister dito sa Malaysia, si Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, announced an additional public holiday po for the coming Hari Raya Idul Fitri celebrations so that Malaysians can spend more time with their families. Additional ito po, no? He said the extra holiday would fall on this Friday, March 20, no? March 20 or Monday, March 23, depending on the first day of Hari Raya Idul Fitri as declared by the keeper of the ruler's seal on Thursday. On Thursday, they will watch for the moon and they will announce po, no? Kung ang Hari Raya will fall on Friday, on Friday po, then holiday po, no? So, holiday will fall either on this Friday, March 20, or on Monday, March 23rd. Pero kung Saturday yan po, ang Hari Raya Idul Fitri po, so it means Monday, holiday pa rin tayo dito sa Malaysia. If the first day Idul Fitri falls on Friday, March 20, the additional public holiday will be on Monday, March 23rd. March 23rd po. Klarong-klaro yun po, ha? Alright? And then, klarong-klaro yun po. So, that's it. Ang announcement made by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister po. Ang mga kaibigan, kababayan, and kapatid natin dito po sa Malaysia, mga Filipinos po, make full use of the public or extra public holiday extended to everybody dito sa Malaysia during the Hari Raya Idul Fitri. And let's all make this celebration a problem-free celebration po, be it Christian or Muslims po, no? And ingat lang tayo po sa intake natin, mga pagkain po, because there will be a lot of open houses. Okay, the other one, or the other issue that I want to share with you po, or announcement made by the Prime Minister po, is regarding itong issue sa Sabah, regarding the 40% revenue entitlement para sa Sabah, na? Para sa Sabah. So let me share with you itong announcement made by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim po, para at least it will be very clear. He said, don't worry about kung may mga appeal dyan sa korte po, because his government, his administration has already made it a pledge, a promise that Sabah will get the 40% revenue entitlement. So, let's watch and listen to this po. Hold on, ha? Kasi kailangan, we have to share with this, or share this video clip po, para sa, at least, nandito tayo sa Sabah, o sa Malaysia, we know what is happening po. Nandito po.
Akhir 2020. Tetapi dibangkitkan juga tentunya isu yang hangat diperkatakan oleh segelintir tentang dan keputusan mahkamah itu sendiri sudah ada komitmen perjanjian interim di antara kerajaan persekutuan dan negeri yang bermula akhir 2022, 2023 dan seterusnya telah kami ambil alih tanpa pentadbiran negara. Jadi soal itu bagi saya bukan lagi isu. Yang ditanya ialah bagaimana pelaksanaannya. Saya ingin syorkan, ya, negarakan, ya, walaupun saya tahu ada tuntutan yang rendah ini ada sabahnya kerana tertangguh agak lama. Tetapi ada dua pertimbangan yang harus dilakukan. Ya, tidak pernah mungkin dalam tadbir kita abaikan. Ini dilihat dari segi peruntukan yang besar pada Sabah dan Sarawak. Yang juga mengundang teguran dan kritikan oleh lembaga Kisah Melayu. Tidak menghiraukan saya. Kerana kita ambil keputusan yang tepat. Kita berikan peruntukan berdasarkan keperluan. Dan air elektrik yang diberikan besar dan mudah-mudahan mulai pertengahan tahun ini selesai sebagai besar dan masalah yang ada di wilayah rakyat Sabah. Masalah tempatan banjir yang kita tumpu di Kelantan, sebagian Johor dan Sabah, dan 2 hari yang lalu di Sarawak kita juga meneruskan beberapa projek segera untuk menyelesaikan sebagian masalah dalam program tempatan banjir. Begitu juga. Jadi soal itu saya tidak mau panjangkan, sudah sampaikan, tetapi jumlah peruntukan yang besar. Jadi boleh bincang, boleh tegur, tetapi itu menghukum seolah-olah ada kelompok dalam negara kita di kalangan pimpinan yang sengaja mengabaikan atau menidakkan MI23. Itu hanya omongan politik bagi saya yang tidak wajar kita layan.
Alright, yun po si Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. In Malay yun po, no? Okay, anyway, kung sa Malay yun, I'll try to give you a version sa English po. The Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the federal government's decision to appeal part of the recent court ruling should not be interpreted as rejecting Sabah's 40% revenue entitlement. Speaking at the breaking of a fast event at the University Malaysia Sabah, UMS, kahapon po, dito sa Kota Kinabalu, Anwar stressed that Putrajaya remains firmly committed to implementing the Malaysia Agreement 1963 or MA63, adding that it is unfair to accuse the federal government of neglecting Sabah's constitutional rights. And he said the current administration had already taken concrete steps to honor the agreement, including interim financial arrangement with the Sabah government beginning in late 2022. According to him, the issue now centers on implementation and technical clarification rather than whether the entitlement exists. The commitment to the 40% is not disputed. As far as this government is concerned, we have given a categorical assurance. It is a firm commitment, a policy decision declared in cabinet and in parliament, the Prime Minister said. So, yun po, no? Yun ang issue ng Sabah. So, nandyan po ang assurance made by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Alright? So, let's move on. Ang next topic natin po. My next topic is, nandito po, ang ICC, International Criminal Court po. Yun, nandyan ngayon po ang former president ng Pilipinas, si former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, who is now under the custody of ICC. And there was an interview by an international media outlet to the lawyer of the 18 Marine soldiers po who claimed that they delivered luggages, several luggages allegedly full of cash money po. And among their claims po, they said that they delivered these luggages to a former senator, to a former senator, si Sonny Trillanes po, intended for the expenses of the visiting ICC officials po. That was a few years ago, no? 2022 or 2023 yata yun po. Anyway, just or for you to get the picture of what transpired, or sabihin natin ang explanation ni Atty. Baligot, no? During the interview, let me share with you itong video clips, no? Video clips, so that kayo na bahala po. Kayo na bahala to sabihin natin make your own opinion, or to assess po. Kayo nang bahala po. Nandito ang video clip. Hold on. Alright, nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this. Hold on, ha? Alright.
On the program here on RT, to the International Criminal Court we go, where amid the body's charges against the former president of the Philippines, Rodrigo Duterte, 18 whistleblowers have come forward documenting a massive trove of cash payments being made in secret. A Philippine lawyer has presented a sworn affidavit from 18 former armed services personnel of the Philippines who provided security amid the criminal investigation into President Duterte. Sworn testimony tracks bribes to foreign investigators with suitcases of cash covertly handed to them. As a reminder, Rodrigo Duterte was arrested a year ago upon his arrival to Hong Kong and transferred to The Hague. He's accused of crimes against humanity during his war on drugs between 2011 and 2019. Well, let's get down to the crux of the issue here. Crossing live now to attorney Levy Baligot, who presented a sworn affidavit from 18 current and former Philippine Armed Service personnel tied to this case in question. This is very intriguing. Mr. Baligot, good afternoon and welcome to the program on RT International.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Rory Sonchet, and good afternoon as well to all your viewers.
It's a great pleasure to have you on the program today, sir. Just so I understand, you are the attorney representing 18 individuals who made claims of delivering suitcases stuffed with cash that were allegedly for funding an ICC probe into the former president, Rodrigo Duterte. Can you please help me understand and break that down? Over to you.
Yes, these 18 former military officers were employed by former Congressman Saldico, who was the former chairman of the House Committee on Appropriations. And they were involved in the delivery of cash on several occasions to Mr. Trillanes, who was in charge with liaisoning with the ICC investigators here in the Philippines. So they know that large amount of money was delivered to Mr. Trillanes to support his collaboration with the ICC investigators here in the Philippines.
So this sounds like good old-fashioned bribery, if I'm not mistaken. So if I understand this ICC, or this official working for the ICC probe was accepting suitcases of cash to further his probe into his how he wanted it to work out. Help me understand this.
Now, to be fair, the 18 former soldiers did not see Mr. Trillanes actually handing money to the ICC investigators, but they know that large amounts of money were delivered to Mr. Trillanes, being the liaison of the political opponents of former President Duterte here. And then they also saw, being the security detail to the ICC investigators, that they only interviewed witnesses that were brought to them by Mr. Trillanes, and therefore it is a fair conclusion that there was no bona fide investigation that was conducted here. All the expenses, hotel accommodations, travel expenses, including the use of private vehicles owned by politicians who are publicly known as opponents of Mr. Duterte, were used by the ICC investigators. And we know that being investigators, they should not only be impartial, but should also appear to be impartial.
Yeah.
But that did not happen here in the Philippines.
All right, so if I'm getting this correct, that some of this money is coming from former political opponents of Rodrigo Duterte. They want to make sure the ICC probe hammers down on Duterte and essentially gets him out of the political picture. But after these accusations came to light, Mr. Baligot, the ICC made a statement saying it operates independently and that it is exclusively funded through the court's approved budget. What is your response to that, please?
Yes, that is the correct policy that they should be independent. But that did not happen here in the Philippines. They were wined and dined here. So how can they be neutral or impartial if they were hosted by known political opponents of the former president?
I see. Gosh, you get into politics, it gets so dirty so quickly. Now, it is worth noting here, Mr. Baligot, that the Philippines withdrew from the ICC in 2019 after the court decided to open an investigation into Duterte. So what is the court's legal jurisdiction in this case?
That is one serious problem here because the Philippines withdrew from ICC in 2018 and the ICC residual jurisdiction should have ended a year after or on March 2019. But the ICC investigators first came in the Philippines in December of 2023 or after almost 4 years when the right of action already lapsed. So I don't know how ICC derived jurisdiction when its residual jurisdiction had already lapsed.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. I appreciate that, Levy. I wanted to ask you, Duterte, when he was doing his war on drugs, I was working at CNN back during this, and he did, I thought he did a lot of good work. I know that, some of the guys who were dealing the drugs in the Philippines, these were armed militant gangs, they had machine guns and all sorts of stuff, and Duterte was doing the right thing by trying to help society by cracking down on these narcotic gun-wielding gangs. But the problem is, Duterte became a problem in the eyes of certain Western players. I remember distinctly back in 2016, the former U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, he went for a lunch/dinner with Duterte at the presidential palace. And the story goes that John Kerry, the former U.S. Secretary of State, gave Duterte, or tried to give him, a suitcase with $700,000 in cash. Duterte reportedly said no. Really pissed off John Kerry. Ever since then, Duterte's been a problem. What are your thoughts?
Well, my observation about the former president is that he is not corrupt and that the drug war was a necessity to prevent the Philippines from being ruled by narco-politicians and that his warnings about killing drug lords and drug pushers in the Philippines was a statecraft necessity to discourage would-be criminals from continuing with their criminal trade. We also know that he was openly anti-American in his language, no? But he was just trying to push for an independent foreign policy because we know that up to now the USA still has a strong influence that reticulates through our bureaucracy.
Alright, there you go. You heard it. Ang interview po, no? Ang interview kay Attorney Levy Baligot, international media po. So since narinig natin former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte was bribed by America before, no? And he did not accept that thing po, no? Ang money 700,000 US dollar. And that shows na ang presidente, former president, is not corrupt. Anyway, since we are talking about ICC, no? Just recently, mayroon isang a Japanese, no, a researcher and advocating for human rights din po. He called dyan po sa United Nations Human Rights Council for the release, asking ICC to release former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. And this Japanese researcher I'm referring to no other than si Shunichi Fujiki, no? Nandito po ang video clip, ang statement made by this Shunichi Fujiki. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this. Hold on. Alright. Lumabas na ito po sa Manila media. And for those who did manage to listen or watch po, nandito po.
Of the Filipino Voice. I now give the floor to the representative of International Career Support Association.
Sa United Nations
Mr. President, I stand here to denounce the blatant
Council
injustice.
ito po.
Nobody could know until the 80 years old former president of the Philippines, who bravely fought illegal drugs to protect millions, has been unlawfully removed from their homeland and held in the prolonged trial detention by the ICC in The Hague. This is a political persecution and not justice. The current administration extradited him without due process, bypassing Philippine courts and violating national sovereignty. He was extradited without any due process. Incidentally, since March 11, 2025, exactly 1 year ago today, this MLA leader has endured detention, separated from family and serious earth issues. Global rallies and protests in The Hague and throughout the world demands the interim release, which has been unlawfully denied by the ICC 3 times. This over 1 year pre-trial detention raises profound question about compliance with the long statutes guarantees of human treatment and speedy trial. It is an affront to human dignity and the abuse of international justice for political ends. We urge this council to demand humanitarian review and interim release of President Duterte. Justice must be fair, not a weapon against the people. The majority of the Filipino voice will not be silenced and depressed. Thank you very much.
Alright, yun po. Si Shunichi Fujiki asking for the ICC to release immediately sa kustodiya nila po si former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte dyan po sa The Hague, no? Dyan po sa The Hague. Okay, I have another story here or a footage which I want to share with you sa ating lahat po, mga followers po, regarding itong ngayon na mahal ang gasolina, ang diesel, lahat na po dyan po sa Pilipinas, and there is a fear that once mag-akyat na po ang presyo ng gasolina sa Pilipinas, lahat mga essential goods also po will follow suit, no? That is automatic po, no? So, ibig sabihin, mahirap na naman ang buhay ng mga Filipino po. Dagdagan na naman ang kahirapan ng mga Filipinos. Nandito, this assistance that the government that will be extending sa mga tricycle drivers, sa mga jeepney drivers po, no? So, meron dito isang komentaryo made by Ted Filon during his program this morning. And he was saying, ano ba ito? Is it another scam involving something like 30 million yata yun po? 30 billion o 30 billion pesos po cash assistance to be given. Maganda yun po, by assistance po, no? But ang problema dyan po, sabi ni Ted Filon, bakit nag-umpisa lang po sa Manila, sa Manila area? Bakit hindi sabay-sabay po, no? Sabay-sabay sa ibang probinsya din po. So, nandito po ang video clip na I want to share with you po para at least you will have an idea. And of course, kayo na bahala po ang reaction ninyo, no? Ang reaction ninyo. Importante, you manage to get this message of Ted Filon. Nandito po.
Alam mo, ang pinag-uusapan dito ha, 30 billion pesos. Yan ang That's 30 billion pesos of your money. 30 billion. Sino ho ang nagdesisyon lamang dito na mamimigay ka ng 30 billion pesos na pera ng bayan sa ganitong programa? Hindi natin kina-question, pero sino lang ho? At bakit nga naman Metro Manila lang na naman ang uunahin? Bakit hindi isabay yung nando sa Benguet o isabay yung nasa Samar? Bakit to? Bakit to uunahin na naman doon sa fuel subsidy, Metro Manila, uunahin na naman daw po doon sa cash ayuda, Metro Manila? Bakit hindi nyo isabay yung probinsya? Bakit? Kasi? Bakit?
Kasi nandito ito ang sentro eh.
Okay.
Madaling mababalita. Mas magiging bida sila. Kasi pag dito sila nagsimula, mas maingay na namimigay sila ng ayuda. Pag sa malayo, hindi masyadong mapapansin. Ikaw naman, Ted Filon, paano kung gusto ko tumakbo senador at doon ako namigay ng ayuda sa pinakamalayo, tulad ng sinasabi mong Benguet, mapabalita ba ako? Susundan ba ako ng media noon pag namigay ako? Hindi naman, hindi ba? Tsaka, huwag ka na nagtatanong kung sino nagdesisyon. Mas madali magdesisyon pag hindi mo pera ang gusto mo ipamigay.
Ang pinag-uusapan dito ha,
Alright, narinig niyo po, no? May puntos ba si Ted Filon o wala? No? Bakit? Selective lang po, sa Manila lang muna, Metro Manila lang muna. Bakit hindi pwede sabay-sabay po? Kasi lahat naman apektado. But anyway, kayo nang bahala. Kayo nang bahala po, no? Kayo nang bahala. For me, it's good by assistance. But ang problema lang po, sino yung nag-decide sa Metro Manila lang muna po, no? Sa Metro Manila lang muna. And kayo nang bahala po. Alright, the other issue I'm going to touch before I will conclude itong programa natin on a Monday afternoon ay ito po sa impeachment ni Inday Sara Duterte po. I think today is the last day, ang 10 days ng Justice Committee. They gave to Inday Sara Duterte after the Justice Committee ng House of Representatives. They found na may base ang impeachment complaint, dalawang impeachment complaint ni Inday Sara Duterte po, no? May substance and nasunod din yun po ang form ng impeachment of Inday Sara Duterte po, no? And I will share with you po itong video clip kay Attorney Salvador Panelo po, and he was reacting, giving a statement tungkol sa impeachment ni Inday Sara Duterte. Nandito po. Let's watch this video clip. Hold on, ha? Aha. Hold on. Nandito po. Let's watch and listen to this po. Alright? Sandali.
Gaya na sinabi, Committee on Justice, moro-moro lang yan. Talagang itatransmit nila sa i-recommend nila sa plenary. As I said also in my show, every day, yung plenary session will vote for impeachment. But sa Senado, talo sila rin. They cannot get a 16 votes against Inday Sara. The most they can get is 6 na vote. Talo yan.
Why is that, Attorney?
Why? Obvious. Tandaan nyo, si Inday Sara, as I said, destinita na maging presidente, so maglalaro yung ang mga panatiko lang na anti-Duterte dyan. Kaya si Tubero, si Aguilina, sino pa? Si Lacson, si Soto, most likely si Bam Aquino. Yan ang mga kontra, hindi mo mapapabote. Pero the rest, ibang usapan nyo. Pupunta yan. Katunayan, this year, marami pa maglalaro yan. Pero next year, tandaan nyo sinabi yung magbabaliktaran ng marami yan. Even the number of impeachment votes, from 215, pagsak yan. Baka 100 lumigit yan.
Alright, yun po, narinig natin si Attorney Salvador Panelo, very strong supporter of the Dutertes po. No? As what I said, ang dalawang impeachment complaint against Inday Sara Duterte, mayroon sufficiency in form and sufficient in substance po. Kaya nga tuloy ito po, and they gave 10 days kay Vice President Inday Sara Duterte to reply. To reply po. After which, if she will not reply, then it means she waived her rights po. Patuloy pa rin yun po ang ang proseso dyan po sa Justice Committee ng House of Representatives. After that, they will be presenting the report. Ang resulta po ng hearing nila sa House of Representatives sa plenaryo po. And then from there, they will be voting. And if they will get the majority or they will get the number of votes, I think one-third ba yun? And then they will impeach Inday Sara Duterte. And the ball will now be pushed dyan po sa Senado. And ang Senado po will scrutinize, will study ang impeachment complaint. And kung kailangan, then tuloy ang impeachment trial ni Inday Sara Duterte. And they will be voting whether to convict her or not to convict. But according to Attorney Salvador Panelo po, may hirap magkuha ang 16 votes pagdating sa impeachment trial ni Inday Sara Duterte. Let's see. Let's watch po. So, siguro hanggang dito na lang muna ang programa natin ngayon on a Monday afternoon, March 16 po. And I will be monitoring po. Mayroon na may Senate session tayo po. I will be monitoring at 3 o'clock. And kung whatever mayroon man dyan po, I will make sure that kayo, mga followers dito sa Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico, I'll make sure that you will be properly informed. So, maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat. I hope maskin paano I managed to give you ang mga notisyon na kailangan din kayo. The news that you deserve to know po at this very moment, at this time. Today po, Monday, March 16. Don't worry, nandito lang ang Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. You can find me dyan po sa Facebook, dyan po sa YouTube, and sa TikTok po. So, kindly support and like and follow itong programa natin, Nick Talk, The Real Talk with Nico. So once again, si Nico Fabian would like to say thank you very much for making me a part of your day-to-day. Ingat tayong lahat sa mga overseas Filipino workers natin sa Middle East. We will continue to pray for your safety po and do your part also. Malaysia, Sabah, the Philippines, God bless us all. I'll see you in my next episode. Bye. And of course, I love you all.